Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stands. I've got three big bits of news for you and we're going to start off with Mason Greenwood agreeing a deal to join Atalanta. Well, that's the story anyway. We're also going to talk about Simon Stone has come out about financial fair play and how Ten Hag thinks he can manipulate that situation. And then a third interesting topic that we might move over onto the 8 o'clock show, but we'll start on this one as well. Let's fly into it then. So an account on Twitter, which is basically an Atalanta account, has said that Mason Greenwood has agreed to join Atalanta, rejecting the offer to go to Juventus, and that this will be announced on Tuesday. Very specific information. A lot of people have been messaging me saying, have I heard anything about this? Well, I tweeted it yesterday. I think it was last night. I said, it's so logical to sign HOJLUND, which is what we're trying to do, and give them Greenwood on loan. It's just so logical. You do one bit of business in two, and it's a good move for Greenwood. It's a good move for HOJLUND. It's a good move for Atalanta. It's a good move for Manchester United. So we know that at the moment, Man United are heavily in conversation with Atalanta about a HOJLUND deal. And Mason Greenwood has a value that at Atalanta, if they can get anywhere near the player that Greenwood was 2 years ago, then arguably it's not a bad deal to do to let HOJLUND go to us and they get Mason Greenwood. So it's a deal that Atalanta certainly would be interested in, and it's certainly a deal that Manchester United are discussing in their conversations with Atalanta. The Twitter account, I don't know, it's only got about 1,500 followers on it. It's a legitimate Twitter fan, Atalanta channel, aggregator, whatever you want to call it. And it's very specific information. Tuesday. And also what's interesting is the fact that the rejection of Juve to go to Atalanta. Well, we know that Juventus and Atalanta were the two clubs with Roma most interested in Mason Greenwood. So, look, I mean, we're in that arena now where anything's possible. The transfer window's open. So it's not like we're discussing this in November. It can happen. Mason Greenwood's not training with the first team and the first team's training. So I think that this is really logical. But sometimes logic doesn't come true in football. But I would certainly say I've not heard anything about it being a done deal. But I do know that we are discussing those options with Atalanta, and there's a lot of moving parts. Greenwood's got to want to do it. Atalanta have got to want to do it. United have got to be happy with it. And also, there's still got to be a good deal for HOJLUND. There's no point in saying, take Mason Greenwood on loan and we'll give you 70 million for HOJLUND. There's got to be a bit of give and take there. But I think that from Atalanta, and I don't know how it gets received in Atalanta. I don't know. There's just an assumption that in Italy they don't really care about what Mason Greenwood's issues are. I don't know. I don't know about that. But on a purely footballing sense, you substitute one talented young striker for a talented young striker from a couple of years ago that might still be a talented young striker. And I don't think there'll be a huge amount of focus in relation to Mason Greenwood in Italy as there would be if he was playing for Manchester United or training with Manchester United. So it's really the word logical I would use. It's definitely part of the conversations that United are having. I mean, you'd argue why it wouldn't be, but it definitely is, because United have sort of highlighted as Italy as the perfect place for Mason Greenwood. I mean, he's not going to go La Liga. He's not going to go and play for PSG. So Italy is probably the best league for him to go to. And, United are looking to bring a striker in from that particular club. So I think it ticks a lot of boxes. There will be people in the chat who aren't happy about it because some people think he should be playing for United now, which is ridiculous. No appreciation for the duty of care and the mental health of the player himself and the abuse he will get if you chuck him in a United shirt now. And there are people out there who don't care about that and would kick him out of the club altogether. It's football, it's business. Football doesn't really have a great relationship with morals. And I think when you understand that, the loan deal is logically going to be the deal that United look to do. And it would certainly be interesting, wouldn't it? I mean, if Mason Greenwood's on loan at Atalanta next year, you're telling me you're not going to at least keep an eye on that situation, regardless of what you want to happen. It would be interesting, and it would be great to have something up our sleeve that we can offer Atalanta that, softens the blow of losing Rasmus HOJLUND. So I think it's certainly worth keeping an eye on that. And let's keep an eye on whether it's Tuesday. I mean, that's very specific information from a very niche Atalanta Twitter account. Let's wait and see what happens with it. I think it's going to be interesting. But as I said last night, it makes so much sense. Greenwood needs to go on loan. Italy's going to be the country that happens, it seems. And we're buying a young striker from Atalanta. It just makes a lot of sense. And from Greenwood's point of view, it's the sort of club where he'll play first team football regularly. He can just focus on his football as well. So let's wait and see what happens with that. Simon Stone's also put a couple of reports out today. Ten Hag believes that Andre Onana is up to the level he demands and will easily adapt to life in the Premier League. And also in relation, I suppose more interestingly for you, although Manchester United's budget is limited by financial fair play restrictions and ownership situation, Ten Hag feels a goalkeeper and a centre-forward are attainable, particularly as departures should cover some of the cost. United aren't going to let this drop, are they? They are going to keep plugging this financial fair play restrictions nonsense. And this goes back to what I said this morning. They're more than happy to keep plugging the financial fair play excuse, and yet we're meant to believe they're doing a good job in their recruitment team. I don't know how many times, and if somebody wants to challenge me on this, let's bring it on. Let's do a show. Love to hear from you. I'm talking about the journalists. I'm talking about Man United. It is a nonsense because there is a prime example, specimen exhibit A in Chelsea as to why financial fair play restrictions don't matter. United, I can't believe they keep putting this out there. We're restricted by financial fair play, and that's why we can't spend much money. Well, you're restricted by financial fair play because you haven't got a good recruitment team. Your recruitment team potentially owes a lot of money on transfers from the last few years. So you owe money that you've got to pay. Yeah, I accept that. That's money that's got to be paid. There is a financial fair play absolutely is about your revenue against your spend on transfers and wages. And if United's gap is there, there's only a gap that you can spend in. But remember, how do you stop that? Even Qatar coming in can't change financial fair play. Qatar can't go, it's like that anymore. They can't do that. The revenue needs to go up. That can't happen in a month. And what Qatar would do is reduce that transfer fee and wages. So why can't we do that? That's the problem. And that goes down to the second thing that Simon Stone said, ownership. If you've got a debt-free club, you can start chucking people out the door because you can take the hit. You can reduce your transfer spend. You can reduce your wages because you can kick people out the door. You can say to Anthony Martial, just go. We'll take the hit, just go. I need to take that financial fair play down. Financial fair play is fundamentally about what money you've got to spend. If you're Man City or you're Chelsea, you've probably got the money to spend in the bank, but the laws restrict you because your spend is here, your revenue is here. So you've got to reduce your transfer spend. And the way you do that is you say, off you go, off you go, off you go, wages, wages down, wages, wages down. Sell players, transfers, that drops down as well. So United saying financial fair play is a problem. If you sell Harry Maguire and you sell Scott McTominay and you sell Dean Henderson and you sell Fred and you sell Donny van der Beek and you get rid of Anthony Martial, you've suddenly got at least another £100 million to spend. And that's why people get frustrated with financial fair play. But it's encouraging that Ten Hag feels that there's a goalkeeper and a centre-forward that he can get. Because ultimately this transfer window is a Glazer transfer window and it really does come down to that at the end of the day. We're going to be talking at 8 o'clock a little bit about this, but there was an article, I think it came from John Cross, saying how Radcliffe, if he won, it would surely be a situation where he'd just be massively unpopular, so why try and buy the club? Reading the replies to that, a lot of people saying, why are you assuming that? That's just E-Reds. That's just social media fans. Match-going fans are happy with Sir Jim. We haven't spoken about this for a while. Get in the comments below. Is that the case? I thought we'd moved past that a long time ago. Let's get into it at 8 o'clock tonight. Do match-going fans want Sir Jim and E-fans want Qatar? Divisive. What are your thoughts? Get your comments in below. We'll hit it at 8 o'clock. Let's know about Greenwood, also about the FFP. Smash a like on the video and subscribe. I'll speak to you all in a bit.